Hey everyone, welcome to another Codex review. As always, my name is Jay, and in this video I'm going to be going over, this is part one of my in-depth review of the new Imperial Knights Codex, which came out this weekend. Sorry it's a little late. I was at an event Saturday, and yesterday I was working on Mother's Day, a lot of stuff, so it's out on Monday. So a new Imperial Knights Codex dropped on the weekend, and I like it. So my first impressions are, I think this is the Codex that the Army kind of deserved 2 years ago when the Codex came out. When it first came out a couple years ago, everyone was really excited about an army of giant walkers, you know? But then the Codex came out and it was like this much fluff and some pictures and then 2 pages of information with 2 options. You know, it really wasn't a lot to go through because, as I said, 2 options. There was the Paladin and then there was the Errant, and that was it. You could upgrade one to a Warlord. You had very little options, very little war gear options. It was basically buy a kit, choose which one, go. And then, of course, since then, a lot of Forge Rolled ones have come out, which I love. Obviously, you know I love the Forge Rolled ones, which gave it more flavor. I like that too. But then finally, a Codex came out. So this is good. And this Codex has a lot more options, both for war gear and it's carapace mounted weapons. So you can put them on the top of the guy. And you can give them to the Errant and the Paladin as well. There's 3 new Knights. Awesome. Basically, one's middle ground, one's all shooty, and one's close combat. Different prices. Good stuff there. And they got slight tweaks to their Warlord traits, to their formations. They got some relics. So it's great stuff. This is a good Codex. I think it's going to be... I love it. You know, basically, if you loved Imperial Knights before, you'll love it even more because you have a lot more options. This is what they deserved a couple years ago. I'm glad they finally got it. So we'll start off with the Detachment. The Detachment now has been slightly tweaked from the last one. They now have, just to make it easier on us, they made a Household Detachment and an Oath-Sworn Detachment. Now, the Oath-Sworn Detachment is an allied detachment. You don't use it as your primary. Versus the Household Detachment, which is your primary detachment. Pretty straightforward stuff. So the Household Detachment now consists of between 3 and 5 Imperial Knights. The big difference between this one and the last one is that the last one, it was between 3 and 6. You used to be able to run 3 Knights, but of course, in a normal game of 1,850 points, running 6 Imperial Knights was impossible. Running 5 was only possible if you ran 5 Paladins, Errants. 5 Paladins. 4 Paladins equaled 1,500 points, and 5 Errants equaled 1,850. That's it. You know, the 2 ways of running it. So, the compulsory is 3 Lords of War. Now, these are all Lords of War, but they have objectives secured. Makes sense. So, it's between 3 and 5. The optional, of course, the extra 2. And the restrictions are all units in this detachment must have the Imperial Knights faction. Makes sense. The command benefits, of course, you get Knight Commander. You get to reroll your Warlord trait on the Codex Imperial Knights table. Furthermore, when fighting a challenge, your Warlord rerolls all failed to hit rolls. That's pretty awesome. So when in a challenge, because your Warlord becomes a character, he gets to reroll all failed to hits. So if you could give that to even a castigator of this Imperial Knight of the the Forge War ones, it'd be pretty nasty. Lord Baron. Now they slightly tweaked the Seneschal rule. It's not a Seneschal anymore. It's different. So the Lord Baron, if this detachment is your primary detachment, your Warlord has the vehicle Super Heavy Walker character unit type, and can choose to select 1 item from the heirlooms of knightly houses for the points shown. I'll be going over those in a few moments. Furthermore, add 1 to the weapon skill of the character's Warlord, and I think he used to get a +1 to the invulnerable save on the Ion Shield, but that no longer exists, unfortunately. And then you also get objective secured. All units from this detachment have objective secured special rule. A unit with this special rule controls objectives even if enemy scoring units is within range of this objective marker, unless enemy unit also has this special rule. Makes sense. So that's it. That's the Household Detachment. It's between 3 and 5 Knights. You choose a Warlord. They get +1 to their weapon skill, ballistic skill still, and they get an heirloom, which I'll be going over in a few minutes. That's good stuff. There's the Oath-Sworn Detachment. Now, this is the Allied Detachment. It's between 1 and 3 Imperial Knights. So 1 compulsory, 2 optional. And the restrictions of this detachment cannot be taken as your primary detachment. All units in this detachment must have the Imperial Knights faction. Cool stuff. So those are the detachments. So now we'll go over the heirlooms of knightly houses. As I said, you can get these heirlooms to your guys if they're your Warlord. And good stuff there. By the way, I got some really good feedback recently after my Codex Eldar review. I do tend to focus, just a side note, I do tend to focus on what's new and say, you know, not much has changed and kind of briefly go over it because I don't want videos to be long. A couple people approached me and said that they gave some great feedback. Maybe I should go over everything because that way any new person can look at it without knowledge of the previous Codex and understand it. So I'll be doing that in this Codex review, especially for the Knight Errant and the Knight Paladin, because nothing really changed with them. So I'll still be going over the details with them so that anybody can watch this video and know about the information. So, Heirlooms of the Knight Houses. There's the Banner of the Macaris Triumphant. Now this one is only really good if you're allying, because all friendly units with the armies of the Imperium faction within 12 inches of the bearer of this banner must reroll failed morale and pinning checks and fear tests. Okay, so that's good in some armies, but a lot of them have the They Shall Know No Fear. So if you're going to ally these guys with Imperial Guard, that will really help, and Adeptus Sororitas and so forth. And that is 10 points. The Paragon Gauntlet is next. It is a Strength D, AP 2, Melee, Colossal, Hurl. Now, Hurl is one of the really cool new rules in this codex, and I love it. And I'll be going over it in a second. And it's master-crafted. So it's a gauntlet, and it's 15 points. And Hurl is a new special rule where the new giant power fists have, basically. Colossal means, because they have relentless, they ignore, because they're so big, and colossal means that they strike and pile in initiative step 1. So basically it's like a power fist, right? It's like, not concussive. You guys know what I'm talking about. Makes them strike at initiative 1. But Hurl is really fun. If an Imperial Knight is fighting with a Thunderstrike Gauntlet and it destroys an enemy monster's creature or a vehicle in the fight subphase, it can choose to hurl it. Gargantuan creatures, super heavy walkers, and buildings cannot be hurled. If a vehicle was destroyed as a result of suffering an explodes result on the vehicle damage table, resolve any damage before hurling it. Any passengers must make an emergency disembarkation before their transport is hurled. To hurl an enemy model, immediately resolve a shooting attack against an enemy unit within 12 inches that is not locked in combat, using the profile below. A hurled model is removed from the battlefield after the attack has been given. So it's 12 inch range. Strength is star, and I'll be going over that in a second. AP dash. Heavy 1, large blast, the bigger they are. So the bigger they are, the strength of this attack is always equal to the toughness value of the monster's creature, or half the front armor value of the vehicle being hurled. So it's usually it's going to be like 6 a lot of the time. Perhaps even higher. It could be 7. And it's AP dash, but it's a large blast. And that's pretty funny. And so it's a 5 inch blast, and that's it. So it's kind of fun. You destroy a vehicle and you hurl it at things. That'd be hilarious against orcs. You destroy a vehicle and then pick up the vehicle and throw it at the rest of the boys. Or Tyranids. That'd be great against Tyranids as well. You kill a monster creature in close combat and throw it at the gaunts, and it basically will kill a lot of things. So that's good. So that's pretty fun. Now, to be fair, the normal fists have that same hurl rule, so you may not want to get the Paragon, but it's okay. Up next is Sanctuary. It's 15 points, and it's basically like the Sanctuary Psychic Power. It basically it counts as an Ion Shield. In addition, a knight equipped with the Sanctuary has a 6+ invulnerable save against each facing that is not covered by its Ion Shield. Sanctuary cannot be used to make saving throws again in close combat. So basically, it's like an Ion Shield. You declare your facing. I think it should replace the normal Ion Shield, personally. I don't know if it does. It doesn't say it does. So I wonder if you get 2 Ion Shields. That's a good question. Because it does say that the Paragon Gauntlet may only be taken by a Knight Crusader. May not be taken by a Knight Crusader. Replaces Reaper Chainsword. It's taken by a Knight Gallant. Replaces Thunderstrike Gauntlet. And the Ravager, which is coming up, may not be taken by a Knight Crusader. Replaces Reaper Chainsword. But Sanctuary doesn't say that. Interesting. It doesn't say replaces normal Ion Shield. So I wonder if you get 2. It also gives them a 6+ invulnerable save against all sides that are not covered by its Ion Shield, but cannot be used to make saves against close combats. So that's pretty good. So you get a 6-up invul around your guy that isn't protected by the Ion Shield. Up next is the Ravager. Strength D, AP 1. Melee, Honor of the Fallen. The bearer of Ravager rerolls failed hit rolls of 1 in close combat. That's awesome. So again, it cannot be taken by a Knight Crusader because, well, they're more shooty. You know, they're very shooty focused. But it's pretty cool stuff. So it's Strength D, AP 1, and you get to reroll failed hits. Pretty nasty stuff for 25 points. The thing is with a lot of these Knight lists is that there's not going to be a lot of wiggle room for points, seeing as they're very... you're going to see what points cost. It's going to be interesting. Up next, we have the Helm of the Nameless Warrior for 30 points. It gives them Rampage. So when they... models with Rampage rule gain D3 plus D3 attacks in the close combat there, and contains more enemy models than friendly models, which is always true for Imperial Knights, pretty much. So, gives them Rampage, extra D3 attacks. Mark of the Omnissiah is next for 30 points. Gives you It Will Not Die. Now, the It Will Not Die used to be a Warlord trait, and it's gone. Unfortunately, the new Warlord traits, if you rolled a 6, it gave It Will Not Die. But, unfortunately, as I said, that is gone at the moment. It's been replaced by a couple of things. Most of the Warlord traits kind of got renamed. They didn't really change, but I'll be going over them in just a second, because that's the next part of our of the review. And as I said, it's pretty cool. This codex is really interesting. They got formations now. They got so many more choices. They have Warlord traits. They have relics. It's like a true codex now, not just 2 choices. I really like it. Let's go over the Warlord traits very quickly. First Warlord trait, Land Striker. Now, Land Striker... it used to be called Master of the Hunt, and basically it does is it adds 1 inch to their run. Basically, any Imperial Knight within 12 inches of the Warlord add +1 to the result when rolling the distance they run or charge. Number 2 is Favorite of the Omnissiah. It makes a weapon master crafted. It used to be called I think it was called Fearsome. Something called Fearsome. It used to make enemies, the old Warlord trait used to make enemies use their lowest leadership in the squad rather than the highest. But now it just makes a weapon master crafted. Not bad. Number 3 is Exemplar of the Joust. This is the same as before. It used to be called Master of the Joust. And it makes your Warlord reroll failed to hit rolls in any assault in which he successfully charges into combat. Number 4 is Cunning Commander. Cunning Commander used to be called Master of the Field. And it basically your Warlord and up to D3 other friendly Imperial Knights have the outflank special rule. Now, I'm not a big fan of this. You may want to outflank 1, maybe 2. But you really want to outflank D3 and your Warlord. Like, that's up to 4 Imperial Knights outflanking. That's so many points of your army off the table at the beginning of the game that if your opponent can deal with what's on the table, you're going to lose. You know, an outflank is cool. But these Knights are pretty fast. They move 12 inches. You know, they can get to where they need to go. Especially if you're using the Forge Roll Knights that can run 3d6. I don't know. I'm outflanking Imperial Knights when there are that many points invested in a particular guy. Maybe 1 or 2, not the whole guy, all the guys. Number 5 is Iron Bulwark. Iron Bulwark used to be called Master of Siege, which added +1 damage rolls on buildings. Now it's Iron Bulwark, which your Warlord can reroll any failed invulnerable saves of 1. That's good. So it's a 4-up invul, or 6-up invul if you get in that shield as well. Reroll 1s. That'll help keep your Warlord alive. Awesome stuff there. And the final one is Knight Seneschal. Add 1 to your Warlord's attacks characteristic. So there's no more of that fun, if you want to choose a Seneschal, you roll on the table, 1 they get screwed, 6 they get bonus, 2 to 5 nothing happens, unfortunately. So I should probably end here. So, that concludes part 1 of my in-depth review of the new Imperial Knights Codex. Basically, just to sum up my first thoughts, I really like it. It's a good codex. It should have been the codex that came out 2 years ago. It has 5 options now, guys. It has tons of options for war gear. It has relics. It has, formations. It's going to be a fun codex to use, and it's not just the 2-option codex it was before. And yeah, I like the new Warlord traits. I really did like to have the 3-up invulnerable potential with your leader, but that's gone. Oops. And besides that, I don't really care that it's not been knocked down from the primary detachment from 6 to 5, since you can take multiple detachments if you want. And yeah, and the fact they have objectives secured is great. They still have objectives secured. So that's great. So I really hope you enjoyed part 1 of my in-depth review of the new Imperial Knights Codex. Leave a comment in the comment section down below of what you think about it. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Anything else you want to add? And stay tuned for the next part where I'll be going over all the 5 options. And then in the following video, I'll go over the formations and my final thoughts. So thank you very much for watching once again. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. And until next time, this is Jay saying, happy painting, everyone.